Sandeep, from now onwards, would you say that this is an uncharted territory, or is it still that moment of 1979?
Well, it is actually uncharted territory. We don't know which way it's actually going, because, like we were saying, the airstrikes that have led Iran to carry out this wave of attacks, ballistic missile, cruise missile attacks. There has been some spectacular videos of drones slamming into buildings in Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. This is Iran telling the rest of the GCC countries that this, supporting the United States has its consequences. And though their spokespersons have been saying since yesterday that they are only attacking US bases, it's very clear that many of these drones, many of these missiles have been specifically targeting iconic landmark structures in the UAE. The Jumeirah, the Burj. The Burj is an iconic structure. The Shahed 136 drone, which is believed to have struck many of these buildings, is a very accurate drone. It's not like an old Second World War missile with a enormous CEP that lands over several kilometers, and you can say it was a mistake. These are all very specifically targeted drones, and they're all being done to send a message to the GCC countries, particularly UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, to get them to pressurize the United States to stop this wave of attacks. The idea is to, of course, impact the economy of the GCC countries. Now, we've seen at previous versions of this, and I take you back to 2020 or so, when the Houthis launched a wave of drone and missile attacks on Saudi Arabia's Aramco oil processing facilities, and Aramco shares took a hit. Iran has been working at this game for several years now. They've prepared these contingency plans not only to replace their leaders in the event of such decapitation strikes, but exactly how they would target all the emirates, all the monarchies in the region using their drones, missiles, and they know exactly where their vulnerable spot lies, which is the economy. The economy of the Middle East is what Iran is targeting right now. I mean, think of it. You have the Dubai airport, which is one of the busiest airports in the world. Today, that airport is completely empty. There's no passengers, no flights. The economy of the UAE, Saudi Arabia, all of this depends on tourist inflows, particularly of the UAE, which is just across the Straits of Hormuz. And that is the kind of warfare that Iran is doing. It's played this economic card now. It is waging economic warfare. There is a expression in naval warfare. It's called guerre de course. It is the war of commerce, where you target an enemy's commercial lifelines. When you're an inferior power, you don't have the ability to target his military straight on. You start targeting his commercial lifelines. It's called commerce destruction. That's exactly what Iran is doing with UAE and the other Gulf states. He's targeting the biggest visible symbols of these countries, their economic stability, their peace, their progress, prosperity, all of that, in the
Yes.
hope that they will pressurize the United States to call off these airstrikes. Because if these continue, uh, even given the kind of strategy that survival strategies that Iran has in place, they know that they are extremely vulnerable, and that comes back to the 1979 moment that they're going through. That if this wave of attacks continues, it is quite possible that they might actually run out of leaders at some point in the not so distant future. And in the future, I mean a couple of hours. This is a battle of hours that we are waging, because there is a limit to the number of weapons that the US, Israel, and of course Iran have in this. It's clear that they can't fight more than 4 or 5 days. So Iran has to ride out that storm, and it needs to do everything. It's throwing all its cards in. The Straits of Hormuz, attacking ships, tankers, is something that they've tried in the past during the 1980-88 Iran-Iraq war. They will resort to that as a last resort. In a sense, a regime under attack like this tries to expand the arc of conflict beyond itself in an attempt to drag more countries in. We saw that happening with Saddam Hussein in 1991 during the first Gulf storm, the first US Iraq war, when Saddam Hussein began targeting Israel with Scud missiles in a hope that he would bring Israel into the conflict, thereby enlarging it, getting more countries involved. Iran, to some extent, more than 35 years later, is trying a similar strategy. It's trying to enlarge this scope of the conflict, to drag more countries in and to build pressures on them to pressurize the United States to back off. Because finally, at the end of the day, the Gulf sheikdoms are also extremely vulnerable. They have not seen this kind of conflict in several decades. For them, the economy is primary. The oil, of course, oil supplies, that's another important thing. Who would come? Why would people invest in these countries if there is the threat of Iranian missiles flying off short distances away, 50 and 60 kilometers? Now, we've built all of these shiny hotels there. We built residential towers. Many of our film stars and our well-heeled have relocated to places in the Middle East because they offered this this vision of peace and prosperity and stability,
Yes.
little realizing that they're all under the shadow of Iranian ballistic missiles, cruise missiles. And that is exactly the scenario
So
that Iran is trying to
that's
paint.
actually quite interesting the way you have explained it. And that explains why Iran has targeted hotels, be it the Fairmont Hotel yesterday and now the Burj Al Arab today. It is essentially those uh, economic centers or those tourism hubs which were seen attractive to the tourists, that is being targeted. Dubai airport, as you pointed out rightly, is shut for the last 12 hours. Multiple flights diverted and cancelled.